Good afternoon. I came here to talk about humans and buildings. It's a very old relationship. We used to build the places where we live from ice, from dirt, from wood, from leaves, from clay, animal hides, anything really, from stone also. So the connection we used to have to buildings was that we build them with our own hands. And if we haven't, they were built by our father, our grandparents, so there was a very close emotional connection with where we lived. I think now it can be only compared to the apartment where we live that we really shape ourselves. But that's not most of real estate. How office buildings look like didn't change very much from 1902, from the century before last even. They are built by people who know nothing about people who use them, or very little. There's no feedback from people who live and spend time in these buildings to people who design them. They're more of a financial asset. Companies build them, they fill them with tenants, and then it's no longer a place for us. It's more of a financial bond that brings 6% return at the end of each year. If we consider that, that is not very surprising that most office spaces look the same way for the last 100 years. And also, they look very similar to factory floors. If you look at this space versus some of the offices where we work today, this is, apart from how people are dressed, this is extraordinarily similar. And it doesn't have to be. This is a massive industry, so there are there's a lot on stake, and there's quite a lot that people will do to keep that very profitable. But it's massive. There's 300 million people globally working in offices. There's 200,000 hotels globally. There are around 30,000 co-workings. I don't even count how many apartment buildings are there in the world. And that's just the beginning. There's retail, cinemas. It's a massive, massive industry. Most of the wealth that is stored globally is actually in real estate. But I do believe there is a hope on the horizon. I think what was and what is much less interesting than what's coming. And what's coming is that technology can change a lot. This is the first time where real estate and technology are really, really clashing. This is the first time where we can really understand what is happening in buildings. So suddenly, technology that is pleasant to use, technology that connects people who build these buildings, design them, people who run buildings, and us, the users of these buildings, we can be all brought together, and through data, we can help shape better buildings in the future. And we can be connected in a way we've never really been connected to them. So when I talk about a successful building, and this is New Lab. It's a space in Brooklyn Navy Yard in New York. It's an amazing co-working space that they used to use for building ships in 1930s. This is how it used to look like. This is how it looks today. And we had an amazing pleasure of creating the whole IT system for that space, turning everyone's, this little device, into a real remote control, something that allows everyone to do anything they want from their phone in that space. And that also gave the people who run that space amazing reach towards the people who are in it, an amazing asset that is information of knowing what is actually happening there. So let's think about a typical day of how it feels to work in a great space like that. So firstly, all you need to get into that space is this phone. You either tap it on the door, or you just come closer to the door and they open by themselves. You barely notice this. You feel welcomed without looking for keys, without looking for a badge. If there is an event, even in the vicinity, suddenly you can learn about it. This is pretty amazing because it really brings the city from around the building into it. So if there are good events there, you can sign up from your phone. It's the same. Anything that is really happening, that the city becomes the office. You can book spaces. This is all very simple. 2 clicks from your phone, it's done. A lot of the things, I don't know how many of you, okay, this is one of the things that is never visible on video, but how many of you is already working in an office? Okay, like one third of you. So a lot of the things I mentioned, you know these are daily frustrations in many, many spaces. What else? Imagine this is being given to an employee of a big company. Suddenly, everywhere they go, they're at home. You travel to a different city, you know where the office is, you know where everything around is. Through technology, you can be at home wherever you go. You can see the recommendations, and you can see what's happening around. I think the most exciting thing is that this can allow spaces to be really used. When we talk about sustainability, there's a saying I really love. It's the building that is most sustainable is the building that was never built. So if we can use spaces smarter, this is amazing for us, this is amazing for the environment. Before Uber, typical car was used 5% of the time. Typical building is used around 30% of the time. So we can, with this, with data and with this connectivity, we can imagine that offices could turn into something else in the night. There is an amazing co-working in Barcelona, and there's another one in Amsterdam that once the day ends, in the evening it becomes a bar. All the tables go up and people can work there. Can party there. And in the morning they can work there again. So the way we use cities can change completely. Imagine you have a meeting somewhere and you're running in the office around the city. There are spaces all around you that you could use to have that meeting. There are places all around you that can provide you with great Wi-Fi, with coffee, with the right person. And with technology, you can find where that is. So another thing, how much do you think, I think a lot of people here are from the Łazarski University, so how much do the people who run this space and manage this space, or even design that space, know about how you spend your day here, about what frustrates you? Very little. But with well-used technology, you can provide feedback about things that don't work, and maybe some things are great. And they can finally start to understand, okay, how can we improve this? What are people doing in these spaces? Imagine you're looking for someone with peculiar set of skills. I don't know, you're thinking about launching your startup, but you have no idea who knows blockchain or the guy just left. Somebody who knows design, or someone who knows prop tech, or even artificial intelligence. But with technology, if everyone in the university were hooked up to a system like that, this would be 2 clicks. You would like, okay, these guys are here and I can find them. And it would be very easy. And sometimes it's just asking for advice. The same, I mean, this is more of a convenience, where you can order food just in a couple of clicks. This is very simple, this is very nice. Uber Eats kind of does it, but it also could bring you anything you need. So, I don't know, you want to rent a scooter, you want to do anything. This is amazing that technology takes all that hassle away. Another thing that I'm excited about is all of us having an assistant in our pocket. So we're meeting tomorrow someone, we just type, hey, I need a meeting room, and it finds one for us. I'm looking for someone, it will help us. This can be predictive intelligence, which is basically very dumb AI, or it can be something that really, really helps you. But this could take away so much of the jobs that are routine, of the jobs we hate, just by having some of that assistant roles just in our pocket. And I mentioned the gathering of feedback. I mean, how amazing it would be when you're managing your building, or if you are in one, to very quickly be able to say, hey, this doesn't work. And someone immediately responds to you, okay, we're on it. I don't know, printer doesn't work. That's fine, we're looking for that part. It will be sorted tomorrow. And this can be with anything. This can work in a city as well. I don't know, you see something that is written that you don't really like, then you can report it very, very, very quickly, and somebody can very quickly map what kind of issues we have, where do we have them, what do we need to improve, and how do we need to spend our time. And importantly also, how do we design the spaces in the future? Because it seems, especially looking at offices, we've learned very, very little. We work in office for the last 150 years, they haven't changed much. And we seem not to be learning that much about how to do spaces that inspire and that are really engaging. Again, so the data that can be gathered, and this is probably the only a bit creepy subject, so data allows us to track and gather amazing information. Where do you spend time? Which spaces are used? What is empty right now? If it's a company, you can learn about which teams are collaborating. This can be amazing, or this can be very creepy. So I think that's back to the double-edged sword of technology of the person that was speaking just before me. But I think this is just the beginning, and I think this is the key, that anything from light to temperature to amount of air to having a personal advisor telling us, hey, you should probably walk a little bit more. This is amazing that we are going to have it in our pockets, and there's an amazing hope in me that with all this, we will really improve the buildings, and we will really enjoy living in a city and working in offices so much more than we're enjoying right now. Thank you so much.